Welcome back, Nerd Squad. My name is Roya Destroya, and this is Top 10 Nerd. The very first Captain America graced comic book pages back in 1941 in Captain America Comics #1. Since then, he has taken on some of Marvel's most dastardly and determined villains, a whole slew of them being members of the Axis powers of World War II, hence making him the most popular superhero during the war period. So let's take a look at the top 10 Captain America villains. In the number 10 spot, we have Nuke. First appearing in Daredevil number 232, Nuke makes the list for being one of the most tragic villains Cap has had to face. And we always are interested in a little bit of drama. Frank Simpson served in the Vietnam War and was traumatized by his experiences. In order to cure himself, he agreed to be treated with the super soldier serum and then work for the government. Well, the serum was successful, physically, but mentally his trauma became worse, trapping him into permanently feeling as if he were still fighting in the war. Coming in at number 9 is OLantern. Primarily a Spider-Man villain, OLantern resurfaced in Captain America number 396 to take on both Cap and Spidey as Steve Mark Levins. Jack works as a duo with the villain Blackwing, and thanks to Jack's hallucinogenic gas, they are able to get the upper hand on Cap, something that doesn't happen all too often. It was because of this that he was asked to join the Skeleton Crew, and he would go on to face many notable superheroes, including Captain America several times. Next up at number 8, we've got the Secret Empire. The Secret Empire was a daughter group of Hydra that was introduced in Tales to Astonish number 81. They plotted to take down the government from the inside, while tarnishing Captain America's reputation. Though they did not succeed, the leader, called number 1, who was heavily implied to be Richard Nixon himself, committed suicide instead of being captured, and it was an event that made Steve Rogers take a break from the costume for a while. And if you have that kind of effect on our hero, you've earned your place on this list. In the number 7 spot is Artem Zola. Debuting in Captain America number 208, Artem Zola has no superpowers himself, but he is a scientific genius in genetics and biochemistry. He was able to transfer his consciousness to the body of a robot, topped with an ESP box that allows him to mentally control the genetic monstrosities that he creates. A weird villain, but a dangerous one nonetheless. These skills drew the attention of the Red Skull, who thought it might be a great idea to get Zola to create some super soldiers. Coming in at number 6 is Iron Man. Yes, war has a funny way of creating rifts in friendships, even between Tony and Cap. The Civil War storyline saw these two as the heads of opposing teams. Iron Man's side was in support of what was called the Superhero Registration Act, an act that would force superheroes to work under strict regulation. Meanwhile, Captain America's side was against the act and in support of freedom. After this, the relationship between the two heroes never really fully repaired. Next up at number 5, we have Hydra. The worldwide neo-Nazi organization known as Hydra first appeared in Strange Tales number 135. It was created by a businessman named Arnold Brown, who was killed by S.H.I.E.L.D. and replaced with the even more violent Baron von Strucker. The group of green-clad agents have a long history with Captain America as one of his primary enemies. As the creature which they take their name after, no matter how many times Hydra seems severed, they just keep coming back. Up next at number 4 is Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo is actually a name both father and son use, so for this Zemo we are focusing on Dad, Heinrich Zemo. The reason why the Nazi scientist Heinrich makes this list instead of his kid is because in Avengers number 4 to 6, it is revealed he is the one who originally killed Bucky Barnes, making him one of the most hated villains of Captain America. Plus, he harbors a deep hatred for Cap because Cap is the reason he spilled adhesive X all over his face, sticking his mask on permanently. I do not blame him for that one. In the number 3 spot, we have Winter Soldier. If Zemo hadn't killed Bucky, then this wouldn't have happened. Upon return from death 60 years later, a real death this time, so it appeared, Bucky is now the Winter Soldier. He suffered from amnesia and has been reprogrammed as a Soviet assassin, and a pawn in Red Skull's attempt at destroying Cap. He didn't remain a villain for long, but while he was probably the most difficult for Cap to deal with. Coming in at number 2 is Adolf Hitler. To be fair, this man is basically everyone's enemy, but especially for Captain America due to the fact that Red Skull was a Hitler creation. Hitler was also the head behind Artem Zola's conscious transference device, so he's caused more than enough trouble for Cap to be so high up on the list. In fact, the cover of Captain America #1 featuring a very famous punch was probably one of the most talked about and iconic covers out there. And finally, in the number 1 spot, we've got Red Skull. You all probably saw it coming by now, but there is no villain who tops this list quite like Cap's greatest foe does. He first debuted in Captain America number 7, is Hitler's right-hand man, and has fought against Cap like no other all throughout World War II. Red Skull doesn't have any real superpowers, but he sure as hell knows how to wrap his minions around his fingers. He's also escaped death many times in his extreme determination to oppose everything that Captain America stands for. So those were the top 10 Captain America villains. Let me know in the comment section down below who is your favorite villain from this list. My name is Roya Destroya, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another nerdy list.